Hey guys, Mustached here to review That Christmas. I know I'm a little late on the whole Christmas vibe, with it being the new year and all, but hey. I figure it's better late than never, right? Anyway, so, as per usual, gonna review this as objectively as possible and do all the good stuff and go over it. So, we follow the movie as old Saint Nick is traveling into this town, and he begins to narrate to tell our story, as it's a backstory. It's a Black Flash movie. So we're primarily following Danny, the new kid in town, and his anxious young crush, and Sam, and the rebellious Bandyk, as they are our sort of three narrative follow-throughs, I guess we're gonna go through. So they're putting on a child play, and as you would suspect, well, we'll get to that very shortly, but it does appear that Sam has a twin sister named Charlie, and she is like the lead, as Sam herself is more of the anxious among the two of them. So, they do flip things like the three wise women instead of the three wise men in the play, making musical as issues arise from it being a child-led production, from flaws of, like, the props just falling out of place and everyone just sort of rolling with it to get through it. And among them, Danny notices that his dad isn't present. His dad is out of the picture. And his mom currently works a pretty hefty job, that being in the nursing world, or, a doctor. Regardless, it's a heavy burden. So, Sam, we learn that she's a little aggressive when it comes to asking Santa for her gifts. She does a little mini threat to her the best of her ability. But it's Christmas Day now, and all the things that we've been seeing, we see that Danny's seeing how his chances, the mom knows this about him, so he thinks he's hopeless. He thinks he's doing poorly, and he's forced to be after class because his grades aren't doing so hot. And it clearly shows one of the things that I think is very indicative of why I find a lot of issues with education and how we currently run it, still very fundamentally, like, everyone must learn the same way. Like, it feels like outside of the high school I went to, I'm not sure there are many high schools or schools in general that, break the mold of traditional, schooling. So it clearly shows that Danny is a hands-on type of learner. So the teacher brings him outside to sort of get him involved in building up a snow fort to, help instruct him how to figure out, all these things in the class. Meanwhile, so Charlie is further conducting her misdeeds, but for everyone that happens, Sam is the one who ends up happier in the outcome, finding it funny, but always is drawing that line, regardless. So she does a little trick with a dog, and the owner who mistreats the dog, not, abusively so, but, kind of, mishandling it to its extent, I guess is the best way of putting it. But as we continue our little adventures, we do begin to see that Danny is starting to see that the teacher is suffering alone, as he is sort of in a very similar, zone now. And the situation of the blizzard is building up throughout, and it's getting worse now. So, getting back to our Sam character, she wants the turkeys to live. So Charlie goes to help out her sister in her devious plots to release all the turkeys, and does so successfully with a little help from her sister, well, in this case, almost getting caught in the process. Meanwhile, the mom, through her notes, encourages Danny to give Sam, his crush, a little gift. Because you never know with these things. And, as someone who's had a childhood crush, I can tell you, getting that level of acknowledgement is actually really cool. Because as of someone who would probably fit very well into Danny's mold in terms of, attitude of, just being the anxious, quiet one, which is very much what I was growing up, it would have assured me, knowing probably that someone else knew and was encouraging me to, go for it, as it were. But yeah. Anyway. So Charlie even knows that perhaps it goes both ways, that Danny likes Sam and perhaps vice versa, as she has already devised a plan to help hook them up too. Meanwhile, a group of adults that they're partying together, and all their kids are partying together, so they're doing a mass celebration. The adults get stuck in a van due to the storm, and they overshoot when trying to course correct and trying to get out of the situation, making it far worse before it can get any better. Meanwhile, Danny gets a call from his dad saying that he won't be there. And we get a little montage at this juncture of the movie, showing us all the great misfortunes that are sort of happening simultaneously. The parents in their worst situation with the car, the kids that have been left behind trying to best opt whatever solutions they can, trying to find happiness with each other where they can, trying to ignore that parental help, as it were. And of course, Danny feeling that mix-up. But this is where Santa comes into the fray. It is now very much upon that Christmas. And the gifts are given right in the middle of the movie. Or, close to the end of the movie, actually. And during his little invasion, as it were, he mixes up the twins, and he mixes up the bad one for the naughty one, that he is, because he knows which ones are which, but they're twins, so whoops. So he leaves the naughty one the gifts with the guitar and everything. And Danny is given his gifts as well. And we follow the bigger family with Benedict, figuring out how to utilize these gifts to try to cheer up that mood because the sequences have been uh, allotting them further and further stress, but now they're taking control, as it were, and partying out to their fullest extent. Meanwhile, Danny decides to head over to the teacher's home to try to help her. Instead, she gives him his advice about his own mom, saying that she also needs a level of guidance and even forgiveness uh, due to her overworking and how he's sort of aloofed that concept. Uh, so, meanwhile, we get her contacting. We have the old man who's on the van calling up her, the teacher, who gets, on that Christmas day, he has his little gift, which is like this motor-ped vehicle thing. So he's able to travel in the snow pretty easily now. So they're together, and they also, like, misfortune upon themselves where the turkeys have been going. Meanwhile, as Sam wakes up first among the two of them, she figures out what Charlie was doing for her all this time, seeing that she has left behind her notepad that she scribbled all her little plans in, including the dating one with Danny there. So anyways, the mom returns, and to the surprise of Danny setting up this little special, like, snow globe event to, like, help demonstrate that he appreciates that she goes above and beyond to be there and to provide for both of them in these trying times. But it turns out that among the groups, the small girl and the big family group has wandered off, so once that is discovered, the entire town is lit up via the phones and whatnot. So, thank goodness for technology. How about that? It's actually being like, hey, technology's not all that bad. Yeah. Because I hate it when people who say that, go online less or whatever, and they make a YouTube video about it, and they're inside or whatever, and it's like, what are you doing? What do you mean? It's like this hypocritical but, like, bought into idea that, like, technology's like this ever-warping, all-negative, all-consuming, solo, entrapping system is just, like, baffling to me. Anyways, but, like, this whole concept of, like, oh, you gotta enter the real world, it's like, I'm sorry, but technology is a part of the real world. What the fuck are people saying when they mean enter the real world? I mean, I know what they're trying to say. They're trying to say get outside more, but it's like this weird angle of saying it that way is always just been off-putting to me. It's just like, again, just... Anyway. So, Danny looks cool as he picks up Sam and Charlie together as they're all traveling now together in his little vehicle. They head over to the watchtower to get a better look with the light beaming toward every area that they can see now. So she went toward the beach because she had mentioned it earlier, so it's a little bit surprising that, people were... She has an older sister that was looking out for her, and she didn't almost catch on to that very small little bit that she added at some point in the movie. But she is indeed found there, where we then proceed to get the obvious final moment of Danny getting that courage to ask Sam out. They have the little the twin moment of like, oh, wrong twin, and it's like, oh, right twin, there you go. And then, for whatever reason, wherever they are, I don't know where this takes place, but it's like, they really went swimming in the snow? It's like, what? People do that? It's like, yeah, I guess, like, the snow wasn't cold enough to freeze over the water close to, like, the shore or whatever. But it's still like, damn, that water must be, like, actually freezing, though. Anyway, albeit that is the movie That Christmas. And, you know, I actually found it quite enjoyable, these little mini stories to demonstrate these little mini lessons, as it were. It definitely feels like something out of a book, and sure enough, it's inspired by a book. So, that all seems to check out. And in terms of being a Christmas movie, I definitely dig it. While Santa isn't involved much in it, I feel like the spirit of Christmas, as if I'm allowed to use that phrase, is very much present in this movie. You know, you have and it follows a very, you know, safe structure in that, like, the third way mark is where you have your sort of dipping moment, and then you have your rise. This is very classic storytelling in that way. So yeah, I find this movie quite nifty. A great little, like, holiday treat, as it were. I'd probably add it to my, like, if I had a Christmas list of Christmas-based movies I watched every year, which I don't typically do that, but if I did, I'd probably add this to it if I were collecting a movie set. Like I said, it finds the little moments and it makes them, you know, stick out. And I think that's sort of indicative of, like, you know, all the, you know, people, it's this whole idea of how we live in a capitalist society, so Christmas in that venture is, well, an extension of our capitalism, which, I mean, is that even necessarily wrong? It's what we do. But to abstract from that is that, yeah, they get the gifts that they want, sure, but it is what they do from those gifts, as we see, and with those moments, that is actually what sticks the landing here. So I actually do appreciate this sort of after Christmas sort of mentality of, like, not just ending it at Christmas, because I do think that in certain movies, and I'd be hard-pressed to, like, name some off the top of my head, but there definitely have been some in the past where it's like it ends and it feels like it ends in the way that it feels like the message was still, but the gifts, though, you know, at the end of the day. And, you know, there is, like, this desire around that time of year, I guess, that just occurs because of the holidays and because how long this tradition has been upheld, that it has just become, you know, this, like, you know, it's that time, you know, as it were. But, yeah. So I actually do appreciate that this movie has its Christmas a little bit earlier in the movie to give us just a bit enough of time to, you know, deal out, like, what are these individuals actually doing with the gifts, and, you know, having these little familial moments. And I do think that that actually rings stronger than, you know, a lot of other holiday movies. So I'm actually going to give this movie a surprising 8 out of 10. I think that this is a surprising delight. If you haven't checked it out already, then then consider it under my proposition. So, if you ended up enjoying it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head over to my petition to help out smaller YouTubers. Second, to my PayPal, where you can help support me and my channel directly. And third, to my Discord server, you can join, collab, shill, and do all that cool stuff for free. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.